without further ado, I'm going to call on my very own Lieutenant, Commander A.A. Makinwa, the Nigerian Navy Security. Please join me together for him. Morning, sir. Permit me to say that, sir. Morning, sir. Clap now.
Okay, very good morning to us all. I wish to start by recognizing the presence of the special guest of honor, ably represented by Engineer Mrs. Doyin. Also, I want to especially appreciate our host, the President, Ocean Ambassador Foundation, Honorable Mrs. V.O. Williams. Let me also specially recognize my fellow guest speaker, who has delivered a very, in fact, I enjoyed myself seated there, very fascinating lecture on safety, Engineer Jami Badmus. Well done, sir. I also wish to recognize the presence of our, like Madam referred to them earlier, dream enablers, right? The teachers. So thank you. Not forgetting, of course, our main beneficiaries of this package, the students. You can choose to give yourself a round of applause. Okay, I will be taking off from where the last speaker stopped. He spoke extensively on safety. And honestly, I can confirm that safety is everything. Even though I'm going to talk about security, but safety is what? Everything. So, from what you have learned from the last lecture, who amongst us can link safety and security together? Just briefly, anyone? How do you think safety relates with security? Any volunteer? Go ahead, please.
Safety are the preventive measures that we take on the inside to avoid accidents. Then security are the things we put in place to avoid external accidents occurring.
Very good attempt. Well done. So now my question is very simple. If safety is 100% assured, is there need for security? If safety is 100% assured, is there need for security? Any volunteer again?
Yes, because there's no such thing as 100% assurance of safety. Yes, because there's no such thing as 100% assurance of safety.
I just say that if you are very sure there is 100% assurance for safety, is there need for security?
Yes. Because even though somebody has believed that, or they think that, yes, they're going to be safe, but there's nothing that can harm them, you still have to be aware of your surroundings. And that's it.
Okay, you have tried, just get seated. So I'm just trying to drive home a point that the more assurance you have for safety, the less you need security. if you are very assured that you are not going to be prone to attack, you virtually need no security. But it is because of safety concerns that you now start to talk of or think of having to secure yourself. You are securing yourself from what? From danger. Remember we talked about, we mentioned danger under security. So you secure yourself against what again? So with security, you secure yourself against the likelihood of the absence of what? Safety. So I will start off from there. Now, this morning we are talking about the blue economy. So I will be talking more about security. Now, to do this, I will give a very brief background about how the concept of blue economy came about in the first instance. Then, after that, I will look at the security role of the Nigerian Navy. What role, essentially, does the Navy have to play if the marine and blue economy must thrive? Then lastly, I will conclude with new security approaches to the marine and blue economy. So now, before now, agricultural products and land-mined resources was the mainstay of Nigeria's economy, just like other parts of the world. But it has been discovered that this land component of the earth surface is only 30% and is fast depleting. Meanwhile, by the day, population rises. So, further subjecting that component of the earth surface to threats. Yes, but on the other hand, the ocean constitutes what? Over or about 70% of the earth's surface. And what are the benefits, that we can derive from there? Over 70% coverage of earth's surface. It is a transit medium for over 90% of internationally traded goods. All the importation from abroad are what? Conveyed through the what? Through the seas. Then provision of, numerous job opportunities. Generation of income. We also have the fact that it is a reservoir for vast mineral resources. So it is a welcome development. And with all of this said, it has been identified as the only known alternative to save the world. That is why Nigeria, as a littoral nation, must also take part and join the rest of the world to ensure that its marine and blue economy thrives. Probably this is the reason why the president created the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. So, and the reason is not far-fetched, because if we must sustain the ocean, for ocean sustainability, security has to be in place. Even though, yes, we have talked about safety, but then security has to be in place. Because, take for instance, you as an investor, you will not put your money in a maritime environment where you know that, shipping, for instance, is prone to piracy or sea robbery or navigational hazard. You rather think of other parts of the world that are safer. So we cannot afford to joke with security. Then again, considering that Nigeria has a very vast maritime environment, over 84,000 square nautical miles. If you convert that to kilometers, that's over 160 something thousand square, kilometer. So we have very vast economic space with a lot of mineral resources. So we cannot afford to joke with security. That is why I'm here this morning to talk to you about the essence of security. These are the resources, just a few of the resources that are domiciled within the Nigerian maritime domain. Next. No. Now, this brings me to the security roles of the Nigerian Navy. What is our role? What are we expected to do? Just like I said in the first place, in case safety fails us, our next available option is security. To win the minds of foreign investors, to win the minds of, international sea tourists. Because these are the things that will actually, fetch Nigeria as a nation revenue. Now, talking about the Nigerian Navy. Nigerian Navy, for the purpose of its operation, is segmented into 3 operations commands. We have the Eastern Naval Command, we have the Central Naval Command, and lastly, the Western Naval Command. So the Eastern Naval Command is headquartered in Calabar, and as far as annexing the border of Cameroon. Then we have the Central Naval Command with headquarters in Bayelsa. Then we have the Western Naval Command, which is headquartered here in Lagos, annexing the border between Nigeria and Benin Republic. So with that, the operation is further, the total operations that the Nigerian Navy does is encapsulated into 5 spectrums. So the first is Spectrum 1, which covers the what? The backwaters. Who has any idea what backwater is? Any idea? Very good. I thought somebody was going to say the water that is at the back. Even though it still makes sense, because we're actually talking about the backwaters, the water behind the real ocean. So invariably the water within the inland waterways, talk about the creeks, talk about the rivers, and when you go to beaches, we are within the backwaters. Then going further, we have Spectrum 2, which is what? Territorial waters. So that is going further from the limits of the backwaters, which is invariably within, interspersed in between land. Then when you leave the coastline, completely leaving the land now, seaward, like 12 nautical miles, you are talking what? Territorial waters. Then Spectrum 3 is what? Exclusive economic zone. This is where it is measured from the coastline up to 200 nautical miles seaward. So it even goes further. Now, Nigeria as a nation has the exclusive rights for the exploration and exploitation of mineral resources within this particular region. No any other country can compete with or come and, compete with her in this regard. So every country has what they call their exclusive economic zone. 200 nautical miles. Yes. That's about, let's say, 380 kilometers off the coastline, seaward. We also have out of land area and land operation. But for the purpose of this presentation, I will be excluding spectrums 4 and 5 because it's, they really do not have anything to do with the blue economy environment. So I will be discussing spectrum 1, 2, and 3. Now, spectrum 1. Like I said earlier, this covers the backwaters. You can see now, from the baseline, you have 12 nautical miles measured seaward, which covers what? Our students, which covers what? Territorial sea. Then from the same coastline, measuring seaward up to 224 nautical miles, we have what? Contiguous zone. Then, measuring from the coastline up to 200 nautical miles, we have what? Exclusive economic zone, which means that is like the exclusive maritime investment destination of Nigeria. If anything happens to this part of the maritime environment, then it is safe to say that Nigeria has lost all its hopes. Because all our oils that we drill are coming from here. Now, to the backwaters. This is what backwaters looks like. When you have water in between land. Now, how does Nigerian Navy ensure security of this particular area? We do that through deployment of small gunboats. This is what small gunboats look like. And we usually do this to ensure safety of the harbor itself, because apart from the ICs, we have a lot of, platforms of high economic importance, like Dangote refineries now, is what? Within the backwaters. When you talk of the various tank farms, for the storage of, crude oil and coal products, they are within the backwaters. Then again, you talk about the harbor itself, the jetties, where you have vessels betting alongside. Their security also has to be taken care of. So the business of security within the backwaters cannot be joked with. In fact, we go further by doing what? By doing underwater inspection, doing diving operation. Because of course, with gunboats, you can take care of the surface, what you can see. But when you're on water, you can hardly see, what is beneath the water. And, if this area is not taken care of, adversaries can take undue advantage of this. So we do regular diving operation, what we call harbor defense or Operation Awkward. So since we are supposed to relate this package with the likely career that you students can pursue, you can start to, think of joining the Navy and becoming a gunboat officer. Because once we deploy, so when you deploy these gunboats, it has to be under the control of somebody, and that person is what? Gunboat officer. Then also, like I mentioned, we conduct Operation Awkward, which is basically underwater operation. And you need what? Professional divers to be able to do this. So when you get to join the Navy, you have the opportunity to be trained as a diver. In fact, we have various types of diving. We have wreck diving, just to check what the underwater, outlay looks like for the safety of navigation. We have what we call deep diving. You can dive as deep as 1,000 meters. But then, with that, you need special equipment. That is why you call all deep divers, you call them scuba divers. Because you need special breathing equipment to be able to survive down there. Otherwise, you may not make it. Then we also have night diving. There is special training for night diving because not all divers can dive at night. You understand? So that requires some specialized equipment to be able to carry out that. Now, next is Spectrum 2. So who can remind us? Spectrum 2 covers from where to where? No chorus answer. Volunteer, please. Very good. Well done. So it covers the territorial waters. Now, this is like having the view of land on one side and having the view of the ocean on the other side, unlike with backwaters. So you agree with me that, security has to be what? Has to be upscaled. So if we are using smaller gunboats, then of course, because we are dealing with an area that is more prone to danger, you have more sophisticated, vessels and equipment to work with. Go on. Yes. So these are what the vessels that you will find within the territorial waters look like. So they have the capacity of staying at sea for, say, 1 or 2 days and just remaining at sea. But in the instance of deployment in backwaters, you cannot remain there overnight. So it's just like a daily operation kind of. So what we do is, maybe you have some sets of boats. These ones can go out, do like 5 hours and come back, then others will go and change them. But in the case of territorial waters, we have gunboats that have carrying capacity that can last them like, say, 2 to 3 days. Now, Spectrum 3, which is the main subject of discussion. So, Spectrum 3 now, because it has to do with the economic, mainstay of any nation. No nation jokes with it. So you can, it is as good as deploying all your assets. All your assets. You deploy ships, you deploy helicopters, you deploy even drones, so that you are guaranteed that the security in that area is assured. So this is what the assets that we deploy within Spectrum 3 looks like. You have capital ships, like over 100 and something meters, and can contain more than, say, 250 to 300 personnel. And it has the capacity to stay like over 3 weeks or 1 month at sea without coming back. In fact, they are so big that they have their own helicopters on board. Some of them have their helicopters. Most of them have boats, smaller boats, that looks like what you deploy within the, the backwaters. Such that when you need to prosecute certain things, you can lower that boat, they will go and come back and return to the ship. Also, we have helicopters and drones. So, there are a lot of job opportunities that one can pursue from here. Because the ships, for you to be able to run the ship, you have a lot of departments, like the engineering department. So you can begin to think of pursuing a career as a marine engineer. So this picture depicts, some marine engineers doing some works in the machinery control room. Also, next, you can also become a navigator who is in charge of the conduct of vessel from one place to another. Like myself, I specialized as a navigator. and I've navigated ships to at least like 3 African countries and like 2 European countries. So you can think of, also pursuing a career in that regard. But first, you must what? You must join the Navy. Are you happy to join the Navy? How many of us? Mommy, you can't join anymore. Except maybe as a facilitator. Thank you, ma. So these are the opportunities. And there is no limitation as to whether you are a woman or a man or whatever. As you can see, that navigator is a female. It's a female navigator, so there's no limitation as to gender. Also, you can aspire to be a naval pilot. As you can see, we also have a female naval pilot flying over that mighty ship there. So, you have a lot of job opportunities with the Navy. Then other opportunities include to be trained as a submariner. Even though Nigerian Navy, presently we do not have a submarine, but of course, we hope that in the nearest future, we will think of, especially when this blue economy that is gaining so much, this thing opens up and expands, then the fleet have to expand with it. So by then we cannot afford to fold our arms. We just have to join the rest of the world. Then also, you can also aspire to be a communication and information technology officer. Then another interesting department with the Navy is the hydrography department that is in charge of conducting surveys of our waters. So, the career progression is such that you can rise up to become the hydrographer of the Navy. And one very interesting thing about being the hydrographer of the Navy is that the moment you are appointed as the hydrographer of the Navy, you automatically become the hydrographer of the nation. So as you can see, the man to my right is the present hydrographer of the Nigerian Navy. But this is a national assignment in his capacity as the hydrographer of what? Nigeria. So now I will be concluding with the new security approach to marine and blue economy. Now you agree with me that the marine environment is very vast. In fact, if the Navy should double or triple its asset today, we still cannot fully man the maritime space. So, the business of maritime security is not limited to the Nigerian Navy alone. We need the cooperation of other maritime security stakeholders to be able to do this. Now, the government has seized initiative in this respect by coming up with what we call Integrated National Security and Waterways Protection Infrastructure, otherwise known as what? The Deep Blue Project. So this Deep Blue Project is such that it accommodates almost every maritime security stakeholder, like the Nigerian Maritime Safety and Safety and NIMASA, yes, like the Nigerian Port Authority, like even the DSS, Marine Police, because it is, like I said, it is all of the nation's business. So now, this involves the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Air Force, and other sister agencies. Now, this project has 3 categories of assets. We have land-based assets, we have sea and air assets. So, on the land, we have what we call the C4I platform. And the C4 just stands for, four C's. The first C means command, control, communication, computer, and intelligence center. So this portion of the Blueprint project is responsible for just intelligence gathering and data collection. So what it means is, instead of deploying boats or vessels at sea to be patrolling and looking for what may not be there for, say, weeks and months, you have this facility that can look into the sea, and when anything is detected, they report, so that you embark on what? A mission-oriented operation. Because in that instance, you're not just patrolling the waters and, waiting for opportunities. By that time, you already have information as to what you are specifically going to go and do. So in that way, there will not be need for us to be, wasting resources. So with this, we have, next. So we have some armored vehicles for the patrol of the shoreline. We also have special mission vessels that the Nigerian Navy, mans. We have two now. One is DB Lagos and the other one is DB Abuja. Then for the air assets, we have special mission aircraft for the surveillance of the maritime environment. And in addition to that, we also have unmanned area vehicles, you understand, for proper surveillance of the sea area. So it is expected that with this new arrangement on ground, the current effort of the Nigerian Navy will be fully complemented when the Marine and Blue Economy project becomes a reality. Thank you.
I believe you can do better than that, students. Thank you very much, sir. Before you go, please, teachers, we need questions. Quickly, questions. Why not? I'm coming. Sir, should we do ladies first and then come to you? Don't be shy.
Thank you, sir, for the presentation. I was really blessed. So can I ask a question? Because you were saying something about communication while you were making your presentation, but you didn't really say it. So I want to hear more about that communication aspect. How does the communication industry, how do they affect the maritime space? So I just want to hear more.
Should we just take all the questions that you answer them? Okay.
Let me just respond.
Okay, sir.
Okay, when I mentioned communication, it's with respect of what the Navy does. We have the Communication Information Technology Department, which is responsible for, how we send signals at sea. Because of course now, if I need you to get out there to go and do something, it's not something that will make me to be calling you on phone. We have specialized equipment to do that. Because using, open source communication equipment might subject you to, to danger, because you don't know who is listening. You understand? But we'll have, communication equipment that are specially domiciled with us. You understand? It is when I talk to you that you understand me. You understand? Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I think your session has been wonderful too. But let me start with this. I actually wanted to ask this question from the first speaker. Not because I don't have an idea of what you are passing across, but I think for the sake of the children here too, you need to be more explicit. You use the word blue economy, and I really want you to expatiate. Why using the word blue? What does that mean? That's one. Blue economy. Then number two, my number two question is also very close to what my colleague here asked. That has to do with communication. You said something about not just wasting resources by, parading the water. And I know with satellites sometimes signal of situations and things that happen in different places. For this, are you also thinking in line with that, having a kind of satellite, or is there any other equipment that could help to actually whatever is going on water and send that across, to the appropriate quarters? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. For the first question, it's very simple. Blue economy. Economy of the sea. That is it. As against land-based economy, like mining of coal, a lot of things that you can think of on the land. But now we're moving to the sea. Talking of, exploitation and exploration of mineral resources on the sea. Blue. Because the ocean is blue. Because the ocean is blue. Thank you. Then concerning the communication, sophisticated communication equipment, we have something like that. And that's why I mentioned it during the session. Nigerian Navy also has what we call maritime domain awareness facilities. Initially, we started off with what we call HARMAC. So it's like a software domiciled with the US, but it can only see within 50 nautical miles. It cannot see beyond 50 nautical miles. And then, once it sees anything, it codifies it. Like now, once a ship is represented on the screen and it turns black, it means it is telling you that that ship is likely to be involved in one illegality or the other. So that will prompt you to quickly deploy asset to go and investigate. I'm sure, I don't know if you got the news of our latest arrest concerning one MT Sweet Mary. It's a Ghanaian ship that came into our water and stole over 2 million liters of crude oil. But with this facility in place, we're able to detect them on time because, like I said, there are signals that will come when, things like this happen. Then we quickly, deploy one of our fast interceptor boats. It can go up to 15 knots, even though the vessel was very far away. But with, the speed advantage on the part of our asset, we were able to, get on the spot and got her arrested. Then again, in fact, beyond the one that can go within 50 nautical miles, we now have what we call the Falcon Eye now. Now one can go up to the limit of our exclusive economic zone, 200 nautical miles. And it is reporting, unlike the older version that we just, to just come like a dot or, like a symbol. This will show you real time. As you are doing it, it's like a video, real time. So it is, with the aid of electro-optical equipment that we're able to achieve this. So there is nothing that will happen within the maritime environment now that the Navy will not be aware. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir. My question, in your presentation, you said 100% safety equate to total security. That's what you imply in what you are saying. But the question is, when you have 100% safety, sometimes there might be vulnerability. Just like we mentioned of the back on item, there might be vulnerability there. That's one. Number two, to be an hydrographer in the Navy, how many years will it take? Because I'm talking from the other students now. I know they have to go to Navy, they go to join the Navy. How many years and what are the courses required? The subjects needed for them to be able to get to that thing.
Okay. Concerning the question about how many years You know, it will take you before you become an hydrographer. Well, it's not a function of the number of years. It is, and I'm very happy that you mentioned that. What are the courses? You must, attend certain specified courses. You must, of course, pass the exams. And you must be capable. Because before the present hydrographer of the Navy was selected, a lot of considerations were made. It does not mean he's the only hydrographer in the Navy. It's not the only hydrographer. We have a lot of persons who are, who specialize as hydrographers. But for you to be appointed as the hydrographer of the Navy, as per the overall head now, which, also translates to you becoming the what? Hydrographer of the nation, you must be very, very capable. You understand? Some of our courses include, tide-related ones, data acquisition, courses. Then we also do some abroad. You understand?
Okay.
No questions, students.
Okay, here's a question.
Thank you very much, sir. 2 questions. Number 1, we don't understand what you mean by littoral. Because, we are all in our secondary school age, so we need to understand littoral. Now, our waterways, the Atlantic surface now, exclusive zone from 200 to 350 nautical miles is what we have now in Nigeria. But even with the 200, sir, research shows that we don't even know the assets we have there. So how does Navy intend to help us with the 150 that has been graciously given to us? Thank you, sir.
Okay, let me just start off from the last question. Yes, we're already on that course by having the hydrography department. We do a lot of survey. You must, have that capability to be able to do extensive survey. Then again, research and development is very important. That department now is, I would say, is just fledgling in the Nigerian Navy. Because actually, it is not even the business of the Nigerian Navy. It is not the business of the Nigerian Navy. You're supposed to have an organization that, has no other business than to just be doing, survey of our waterways and doing constant research to know what we have down there or, what opportunities we are open to. But I believe that with the marine and blue economy idea in place now, of course, there will be expansion in that regard. If we can think of the deep blue project, because now, we only relied on the Nigerian Navy. Now, the federal government is thinking outside of the box that, yes, this idea, when it drops and it starts to expand, the Navy will not be able to, only the Navy will not be able to handle it. So we have to expand. So I believe with time, that will be taken care of, man. Even up to the continental shelf. Now, the word littoral just means water. So, littoral nations, okay, ma. So, the students, when I say littoral, it means water. Nigeria is a what? Littoral nation. Why? Because we have water surrounding us. But for a nation that does not have water at all, we call them landlocked nations. Do you understand it now? So, there's a difference between landlocked nations and littoral nations. Thank you. More questions?
Please join me together for our Lieutenant Commander. Thank you very, very much, sir. Thank you very, very much, sir. Yes.